Hi, Natalie. This is Natalie Gilmour, one of our dual internationalists. So you've played for England and Great Britain. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
it
yeah, bit of
is.
a superstar. So if we could start, Natalie, with where and when you were born and how you got into rugby league.
God, when?
Yeah,
1976. I am, yes, I am that old.
you don't look
I'm
it.
born in Dewsbury, West Yorkshire.
And how did you get? At what age were you when you started playing rugby league?
Probably, I would suggest possibly somewhere around seven, eight, nine. My cousin
Oh,
Mick Turner, he coached down at Shawcross and still he was involved in the club. Um, and he just had a club going, and my brother were playing as well. So I went down and we ended up playing in the same team until obviously get to 11. So yeah, I played with, I think, Lee and like the likes of Nick Bozzardi were in team as well.
oh wow! Oh, and did you just love it?
Yeah, I loved it. It's just obviously back then there were no girls teams. So as soon as you got to 11, you weren't allowed in a mixed team. So I had to pack in and
And
took up
it
hockey instead.
did you? And so did they
Yeah.
play it? Did they play it at secondary school?
Rugby, no.
Yeah, no. So what happened? How did you get back into it?
Again, Mick, he was on a coaching course and just happened at a family do. He said, "Oh, I'm on a coaching course," and they do several weekends. He said, "Jackie Sheldon's on it, and she coaches up at Wakey, as it was then, Wakefield Panthers. Um, if you're interested." So I just passed number on, and then I got back playing when I was probably about, I think I was 19. I remember because it was 1996 that I started playing,
Oh wow.
and it was just before the first tour and I got asked to play in a game before they went out, so to play against the GB team.
Oh wow. What was that
Yeah.
like?
So I'm sure it was Dewsbury Rams ground that we played it at, and it was that I just thought, oh, great, brilliant, I'll play against him. And it was that I just thought, you know what, wow, I want to do that.
Oh,
I want to pull
oh,
on the shirt. I want to go on tour. So yeah, first season back now playing against him, it was that give you that bug really.
oh my gosh. So who were you playing for then when you started back at 19?
It was
Wakefield
Wakefield
Panthers.
Panthers, yeah.
So when they came back off tour, um, so then you were in the first team at you were in the team at Wakefield Panthers and then you just carried on playing then. So you're only 19 at that point.
Yeah, but I suppose really we had a team full of stars like Brenda, Shelley Land, Joe Will, Joe
Oh.
Roberts, McGool, Lucy Ferguson, just to name but a few. So realistically, it was a good team to be involved in because it definitely develops your own skills.
And where were you then? Were you at college or were you working by then?
I was at I was at college because I couldn't decide what career I wanted into teaching or something like the military or police, and it was only after I did my teaching uh, section at school I realised, yeah, teaching's not for me.
Oh,
Teenagers, I'm not keen on them.
fair enough, fair enough. Oh, really? Right. Okay. So then what did you do?
Well, I applied to go. I worked for British Gas for a couple of years, but just while I was waiting for my application to go through, and then joined the place in '99.
Wow. Okay. And were you still based in Yorkshire at that point?
I'm based in South Yorkshire.
Right. Okay. And so we still playing for Wakefield at that time?
Yeah, yeah, continued playing for them because I live just off 36 of the motorway. So we're only like a half-hour trip anyway.
Brilliant. Okay. Oh, wow. How exciting. So tell me about when you were called up then. How old were you and what was your first tour?
It was '98. It was the first
Wow.
tour for
So
me.
wow. So you've had a really long career, haven't you? Like internationally. That's amazing. Sorry, go on anyway.
Just remind me how old I am,
Yeah,
yeah.
no, I
Um,
know. I just mean that is quite something, isn't it? Like to be on the 98 one and then all the way through to England and things.
yeah,
That's brilliant.
yeah. So again, you're playing with like Lisa Mack, who just a formidable player. I remember first time I played against her when we were playing Bradford, it was like, oh my God, I'm supposed to tackle Lisa. You know what I mean? Just put fear in people the way she ran. So I was really glad she was on my team and went on tour. So yeah, I was kind of fairly young. There was some other fairly young players, but a lot of experience that just guided you through. And it was more real team camaraderie because we'd had to raise £2,000 each to go towards kit. And I remember doing like packing people's shopping in
Oh
supermarket and sending
God.
letters to businesses saying, "Would you sponsor me?" Just so we could get some kit. And the kit that we got were minimal, but that's the way it was back then, and you kind of made do. And we didn't have the best accommodation, we didn't play on the best pitches, but loved every single minute.
Really? Can you remember it really well?
I remember the first time of obviously walking out wearing the shirt and hearing national anthem, and that combination of nerves, honour as well. But definitely, I remember the nerves, thinking first catch, first tackle, first catch, first tackle. Just get them under your belt.
Yeah. So did you play, what matches did you play then on the 98 tour? Can you remember?
If I remember rightly, we played. I think it were three internationals against the Kiwis, and I think we then had midweek games.
Right.
I played in a couple. I can't remember if I played in all three. You're asking me, it's a long time ago, and at my
Yeah.
age, your memory goes a little bit. But yeah, so they had a combination of midweek games against, I think it was like their territories, like their county
Oh
teams,
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and then played the main matches. Yeah, and it just gives you the bug because I suppose baptism of fire playing against the Kiwis.
Yeah. Was it quite something?
I remember playing against Ruben Wickie's sister,
Oh
and she,
really?
she was as big as Ruben Wickie.
Right. Oh my God.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Trish Heaney, who was probably one of the best Kiwi players has ever been, in Trish Heaney.
Wow.
So, some of the
Wow.
players that they have, certainly been up there. But yeah, I remember that tour. And
Um,
like I said, I've wanted to get my first shirt and my last shirt framed together.
oh yeah. Yeah, that's quite something, isn't it? So what was it like being away? Was that your first time like properly away from home?
Oh no, I loved it.
Did you? Yes, on the side.
Well,
Really?
yeah, because I'd been away from rugby. I played football, I played hockey, and I played
Right.
hockey for England. And so I'd gone on
You played
competitions
hockey for
away with them
England?
anyway. Yeah, when I was under 16, so I'd done some stuff like that where we'd been away for weekends. So being away from home was fine.
Wow, okay. And so what was it like coming back then? Was it a bit of a downer or were you just kind of fired up for the next thing?
But a bit of both, because you're buzzing because you've been, and obviously the rugby, your rugby teams and your teammates are saying how well it, went in talking to you about because it wasn't really publicised.
Yeah.
But then the downside of it is it wasn't publicised and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
It,
I mean I can't remember, but my brother Lee got picked as well for Great Britain side, and I
oh
can't remember.
right.
It might have been the same '98 tour.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I'm sure it was, and I remember going into airport, and they're sat one side at glass, like in first class,
Oh.
and we're in normal side, and he's just waving. And I remember, I'm sure he was sat next to Leon Price, and Leon and him is just waving at us as I walk past.
Oh
So that
my
was
gosh.
quite strange.
At least that wouldn't happen anymore. Gosh, your mum and dad must be very proud. Like that's amazing to have the two of you. Like that's brilliant. So
Yeah,
when you got back, did you carry on playing for Wakefield?
yeah, I did. I carried on playing. That's the only team I've ever played for until it
Right.
changed name to Featherstone.
Yeah.
Um, I had to have a break at some point because I was trying to juggle being in the police, working shifts, and training and that
Yeah.
commitment. I
Right.
had to have a break as well as trying to get time off work. So I had a break for a few years and then came back. So I think I've done a couple of tours to New Zealand, Australia, and then done a few to France as well, and obviously the World Cup's over here.
Wow. Okay. So what? So after 98, so did you go again? Did you go? Were you here at the 2000? Uh, was it the 2000 World Cup over here?
Yeah,
In
2000 was over here, and I
yeah.
remember getting changed at Dewsbury Rams ground. There weren't enough changing rooms, and basically they put paper up at the window of the bar,
Oh my God.
and that was our changing room, and there were no showers.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
Again, it shows you how, unfortunately, probably how little
Yeah.
the uh, the governing bodies thought, because we were still under the community
Yeah.
umbrella then. So,
Yeah. Right.
but
Yeah.
no, I remember just getting changed. And we were obviously giving everything we could to get as good as we could.
Yeah.
And yeah, and I remember the refereeing standard just not being the same. It was like they've just not thought about this. They couldn't even keep up with the pace of the game.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
so
Right.
there's bits of it that are disappointing, but you had no control of it, so you just got on with it. What you can control, we'll control. What we can't, we won't.
Yeah, that's a really good attitude, isn't it? I mean, and that's right, because it must be a dispiriting element of it. But like you say, you've got those opportunities, and that got to make the best of that. And I mean, what was it like having like a home World Cup then? Did your friends and family come?
Yeah, because obviously I grew up, so Shawcross
Yeah.
was where I met most of the family around there, so everybody came. So it was really good, and still got a couple of video clips of the people recording, and
Oh, really?
it was really
Oh,
nice to have family and friends. And I suppose really for all the players, it's nice because they can't travel out to Australia,
yeah,
New Zealand to see you play,
yeah.
so it's nice, I think, family and friends to actually come and see you as well, just to see what you've achieved.
Yeah, definitely. So then when was your next tour after that? Can you remember when your break was, like kind of for your career?
I think it was after that I had
Right.
my break. Um,
Okay.
because I
'Cause
think I think they might have gone to Australia, and I think
yes,
I
I
missed that
think
one because I was
there was a
playing.
2002 and 2003, was there? Or was it just 2003? But yeah, I think it was Australia next.
Yeah, so I think it was Australia which I missed because I couldn't. It's one of those where I want to commit, and if I can't, I don't want to give a
Yeah.
half-hearted effort because I don't think it's fair on somebody else that can give that commitment. So I had to have a break just for
Yeah.
work commitment, and then got into it. And I can't remember when I next got back into it because I remember playing again, and I don't know if at that point, when did it go to England? Was it 2007?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the next time I played might have been in an England shirt rather than Great
Right.
Britain shirt.
Okay. Go on, but
And I'm
that's
sure that was France. And I'm sure they were like the France games. I'm sure they were.
yeah. I mean, that's really impressive to have time off and then just be able to go straight back in at that kind of level. That's great, isn't it?
Well, I still played club rugby as and when I could.
Yeah.
Again, that's just to keep your hand in. But again, with work, you had to be physically fit.
Yeah.
By that
Okay.
point, I was in the firearms team, so we had high standard of fitness. So again, that way, it helped getting the jobs that I got in the police, but obviously the fitness in the work also helped me maintain it so that I could have that break and
Yeah.
still manage. I mean, I'm not going to lie, it was still hard work and graft to get there because obviously everybody else has got fitter, faster, stronger,
Yeah.
more skillful. So you've got to put the effort in. But again, lucky with the coaches that we had at Wakefield, we had Jackie Sheldon, Brenda Dobek, so two really impressive and influential coaches that it doesn't take you long to pick it back up when you coach for 5
Yeah.
hours.
Okay. And what can you remember of touring as part of England? Did it feel like there was a difference between GB and England or not really?
I think only in the terms of a little bit more publicity, the
Yeah.
kit you got, the nutrition, we got like a conditioner, so you
Right.
could definitely see with the gap the difference in what you got,
Yeah.
which was good. And I remember, the different coaches through England. I think we had Anthony O'Sullivan, winger, for Saints as
Right.
his coach at one point.
Wow.
Um, so do you know what I mean? So there was definitely starting to ramp up the involvement
Yeah.
of rugby, which was really good. And we did a number of little tours over to France, which you could because you could just go for a week, 10 days, and play a few
Really? And
games.
what were they like?
They were really good actually because you weren't too far away from home. It was an opportunity for some of the younger players to start getting a cap and just to start feeding in and finding out what it's like to pull on a shirt, prior to the likes of bumping into the Kiwis and the Aussies.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
and it were good, but again, it were a different atmosphere. It's when you're doing the small tours and stuff like that, it is different to a World Cup. You go on tour 'cause you want to win, but there's definitely an enjoyment element to it.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And what I mean, so after 2007, so how many more tours did you do then before you hung your boots up?
Oh, if I'd have known, I'd have gone through because I've kept like kit from each one, so I've got years on my shirt. So I don't. We did 2008. Did we do?
Yeah.
I think that was France. Did we do 9 and 10? And then there was one in between because we went to Australia. Because I remember going to Australia and we were staying on the marina. and the Gold Coast, and these
Oh,
apartments were plush.
oh,
And I was,
really?
compared to the digs from the first tour I ever went on to that, it were
Yeah,
like, oh,
yeah,
I've made it.
yeah, absolutely. Oh, wow.
That was Australia, and that was the kit you got. Again, the nutrition doctor, the
Yeah,
physios, you have more than one, a masseuse comes on top. You could just feel every single time you went away, it was kind of ramping up. There was more investment
yeah,
in the women's game, which was really good.
yeah,
Um,
really good.
but on that flip side, more commitment needed by the players.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And were you able to fit that in round your policing at that time? Was it getting any easier?
No, I mean, luckily they allowed me to have some time off for it and matched my leave. But then some of my training, so I'd have to go and like adjust my training schedule. So it's like I can only train at these
Yeah,
times on these days, and they'd tweak my sessions to
yeah,
support obviously the work because we weren't paid. So it's not like we could afford to drop any hours at work to accommodate it. So
no,
it was useful having the knowledge with the conditioners around being able to adjust your training schedules
right.
to what time you can put in to make sure you're still getting the gains at the other end.
Yeah, okay. And how do you feel about that kind thinking when you're talking about your brother on the other side of the glass and it's like, that the men weren't having to do this necessarily, that kind of all the sacrifices that you made literally because you're women. Did it feel were you, well, I suppose you were aware of it at the time, but I mean, how did that feel?
I suppose you've got to be honest and say there's a little bit of jealousy that if they're getting paid to play a game that's a sport that you love and they're managing to do it as a livelihood and you're having to still go and work. So there is a little bit of jealousy, but I suppose the women's rugby hadn't, although it had been going a long time, it hadn't grown necessarily to
Yeah,
the size that it needed to be to start getting that recognition in the early days.
yeah,
Um, and I suppose realistically, the more publicity it gets, the more people you get involved in playing, which then
yeah,
means that you get more. So it's one of those perpetual
yeah.
things that you need to start it somewhere. And I was at the beginning of that journey, so you could start to see the changes.
Yeah, and actually, with that, you begin, at the beginning, it must feel like a real, you are part of that, and as you say, it can only um get bigger and better the more people that are playing and the more people, etc., etc. And you were part of that. You're one of those pioneers, and that's quite something, isn't it? Especially looking at now at the present day and looking at this World Cup that we've just had. It's like you guys have made that happen.
Yeah, and it's nice to feel like you were kind of on that beginning end, and I suppose I know when we went to the heritage do, and we're talking to some of the players, and it'd be like, oh, could you imagine if you'd be starting to play now,
Yeah,
would it be like? How would it be different? What would we be doing? And you
yeah,
do have those questions, but it's nice to see how the game has grown. The fact that we've now got like ambassadors that are walking, alongside the men's ambassadors, and it's getting that TV time. It was really great this World Cup.
yeah,
Again, it shows the step up across the world. How
yeah,
the Aussies have big stepped up, one big step again with the funding that they're putting in. So it's one of those where it clearly shows that if the investment is there and allow players to go part time
yeah,
or even be full time athletes, you get that payoff.
yeah,
Demonstrated by the Aussies.
yeah.
I don't think the Kiwis have got the investment that the Aussies have either. I think
Right.
it's just the
Okay.
Aussies that are just leading the way at the minute.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it, isn't it? And that's, and that's right. Like you've been part of that journey and it can only get better from, here on, even now kind of thing. So, did you say 2010 was your last one? Did you know that, it was going to be your last one when you went into you?
No, no, I think I'm sure I've got a 2011 shirt, and then 2013 the World Cup over here. That was my last
Right.
one, and I think it was more my body. I think the last game we played, I was held together with tape. And it's not the knocks at the time, it's that recovery time, when your
Right.
body's just had so many knocks over the years that I think your body's just saying, you know what, yeah, you need longer between games. And at the minute we don't get a week like union. You've got a game in 3 days' time, and you've got to realise that are you putting your body through too much?
Yeah.
I've given it everything I can. It's time to bring on those young guns and develop them.
Right. Okay. And how did that feel when you were thinking about, yeah, this is the end of this bit of my career? Were you sad?
Well, yeah, it's one of two things. You're thinking, oh, I don't ever want it to end, so I'm going to keep going and keep going until basically you don't get picked. But then on the flip side, you're thinking, well, go out on a high. Our
Yeah.
captain, you can't get anything else. So call it quits while your body is actually still in one piece.
Yeah.
And are reaching those heights, and still I still played club rugby afterwards.
Yeah.
On that, and I'd said, I'd still be happy to come and be involved and do some sessions and stuff like that.
Oh,
But
brilliant.
no, it was just one of those where you just think, do you know what? As sad as it is, I think it's the right time.
Yeah. So tell me about what it was like to be captain, like, and how you were picked and how long you were captain for, because that's massive, isn't it?
It is. It was Chris, and at first you don't know what to say because it's that much of an honour and surprise. You kind of, the little child inside you is screaming up and down, jumping up and down, saying yes, thank you. But then it's a massive responsibility, to try
Yeah.
and lead your team. So, immensely honoured to do it. It's something that you'll never forget walking out.
Yeah. When was the first time?
I think it was before the World Cup.
Right.
Um, but again, it's because you're playing, it's like I forget which game's which, and
Yeah.
then you're thinking of different games all the
Yeah.
time.
Kind of the
But,
merge into it. Yeah. 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 What an honor. And like thinking about kind of the whole like of your international career, what would you say were the most difficult bits of it?
trying to juggle work and the commitment to train is the hardest thing. And especially obviously when the kids came along in 2015, that was after I packed in, but it was one of those where you're just thinking that you can't, to try and juggle a full-time job, depending on what job it is,
Yeah.
part-time, family and all that, it's a massive, massive impact. So that was the hardest thing. It was just trying to juggle a
Yeah.
work life well, basically for it at work, we're training. So there
Yeah.
was no life balance. It was
Yeah.
just work and training.
Yeah. Okay. And what about the best bits? What about the most memorable bits?
Obviously, you've got the first time that you pull the shirt on and represent your country, and then being captain. But then there's funny things that you remember while you've been on tour that just stick in your head that'll always be there. Some of the
Oh,
funny stories from tours, with people that you think, yeah, it is one of those girls on tours things, and they're just little snippets that just stick in your memory. So it's the fun times as well as the ones there that serious.
yeah.
It's definitely the fun times as well.
Any in particular that you'd want to share?
So Sophie Lazenby, she'll kill me. Um, we were I'm sure it was New Zealand, and we'd nicked out, and we came back to apartment, and she stood washing pots, stark naked, apart from some soap runs over her boobs.
That's
She'll kill me
ace.
for that. You know what I mean? And it's one of those where you walk in and it's like, I'm never going to get that image out of my head now.
That is now ingrained in my. I love it. That's brilliant.
So you know what I mean, and things like that. So it's there's some fun memories, as well with that team camaraderie,
Oh
but no,
yeah,
special memories.
yeah. And are you still? Did you make some really great friends then on those tours?
Oh yeah, some immense ones that were really nice on the Heritage Day
Oh
and evening at Leeds to bump into some of them, especially some of them that are the Cumbrian lot as well. That it's just so far away that
yeah,
you never even see, and some of the older ones that were really good to see. But it's one of those where actually we could have done with a week to catch up and goss.
yeah,
Yeah, but no, it was really really good to catch up and see everyone. It'd be nice to do kind of another reunion in a few years'
yeah.
time.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I bet you all just have so much to talk about. And kind of on that, actually thinking about that day and getting your caps, what did that mean to you? What did getting your caps and that recognition mean to you?
Well, to be honest, when they started giving them out, we did raise the question: what about the Trailblazers, especially from the '96, that were like started this ball rolling because the players wouldn't be playing today if it weren't for them. That actually, what about them? And it was a bit disheartening the fact that the powers that be didn't want to put their hand in the pocket and recognise the hard work because they appreciate it was going to be a bit of money. And then Julia Lee and her team just took the mantle on and trailblazed it to have it. And I think a lot of players will just say, once she gets something in her head, she's like a dog with a bone, and it's like that's it.
Definitely,
We're definitely having
definitely.
that. So
Yeah,
I think they did an amazing job to get the certificates and the caps, but then to put on a function like they did as well, they did everybody proud.
yeah, yeah. It was very special, wasn't it? And to kind of see everyone, yeah, and to kind of hear the things that people were saying about that journey and what people had gone through to get where they were and stuff. It felt really spine tingling, like even as a just an observer. Do you know what I mean? It was just kind of to see you all get that final kind of that finally that recognition of what you'd achieved. I mean, it's massive what you've all achieved.
It is, and I suppose it's a nice thing to go with your shirts as well. So because I think in most rugby sports, like even Union get caps, and I think
Yeah,
it's just the icing on the cake, really, for me.
yeah, yeah, definitely. What do your daughters make of it?
Well, funny you should say that. Isla went and did her first rugby training yesterday
Oh,
um,
really?
with the boys. She's the only girl, so it's not a girls' team; it's a
It's a
mixed
boys'
boys
team,
team. So she's the
right?
only girl, and she absolutely loved it. And the bloke afterwards says she's a natural, but she's a bit of a bum in the china shop.
Right.
The other twin is too delicate.
Right.
No, absolutely not a chance is she going to play rugby. But yeah, one of them will definitely have
Oh,
a go.
that's
But
great.
she's into trying everything rock climbing, football. So I'll let her try anything she wants till she finds
Yeah.
what she really enjoys.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Are they identical?
No, non-identical.
Oh, really? Right. Oh, that's sweet. Yeah. So do they? And like, what do what do can't your family make of it all? Of getting the recognition and things. That they must be really proud of it.
Yeah, well, my parents came along as well, so that was quite nice.
Oh, brilliant.
No, that were really nice, and yeah, just still keep winding my brother up, saying I've scored more tries, scored more points, got more caps, and I was captain. He just got the money.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, you were just in first class. That's a one-off. It's exactly not memories. And what do you think now? And that's interesting about your daughter doing that. So that's great about kind of um the women who play now and what they've got to look forward to, and kind of what would you say to them now? If I mean, you're obviously involved anyway, aren't you? With the sport and stuff. So what
For
kind
me,
of
it's just about going out and enjoying it, and especially for the young kids, I think it's quite easy nowadays to just sit behind a computer, a games console, and actually just get out there, get fit, and again, tapping onto the World Cup, obviously the women's Euros, the football, I think that just topped it up again,
yeah,
with the women's sport, the fact that actually women's sport's really entertaining,
yeah,
and I think that's the
definitely,
key. And across, don't matter what the sport is, it's entertaining.
yeah,
Um, and I think it's just catapulted not just girls but all kids just to get involved in some
yeah,
sporting activity. And it'd be great if it's rugby, and
mm,
especially the girls. And we're definitely seeing an increase in that, and they're
mm,
continuing the publicity. And the likes of Jodie, who's one of the ambassadors, and really driving it, which is good. But it's just continuing that publicity and growing the game for both boys and girls, just to
yeah.
really drive it. Because I think otherwise we could end up, losing just a lot of sports in general because kids are too busy on the computers.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it's about giving, yeah, like you said, it's about having the opportunity to, like you say with your daughter, just like give her as much as she wants until she finds the thing that she likes. And that's it, isn't it? It's really important, isn't it? And I
Yeah,
think to that kind of discipline that you all have and like professional sports people that kind of normal people can look at and just think, yeah, it's amazing. It's kind of that to get to the level that you got to just you kind of can't imagine when you haven't done that what it takes to get to that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but again, I suppose it's for all sports, isn't it? You don't see what the hard work
Absolutely.
goes on behind closed doors, and that's why the top athletes make it look so easy that people go, well, I can do that,
Yeah,
because they put that work in and they do make it look easy.
yeah,
It's only when you try and have a go yourself that you realise how damn hard, some of these sports are, not just rugby, but a lot of the other ones, how much commitment it takes just to make things, like I said, it makes it look easy.
yeah,
Um, yeah. It's more about for me just the fact that they're getting out there and they're enjoying sport.
yeah.
It'd be nice if she decides that's the sport for her. I'd love it, but it's her decision. But after a face after that first session, she loved she loved it.
That's
Just thinking,
great.
oh good, black eyes, broken nose, broken.
And so there isn't a girls' team round there then. There is just a boys' team.
Yeah, there's no girls. It's more from cause I'm in South Yorkshire. There's more union teams down here. Andy
Right.
obviously coaches the Field Eagles, but we're over the other side at Barnsley. So at the minute, it's one of those. And I've said, you know what? It's not a bad thing.
Yeah,
It's not a bad thing.
yeah,
Play with the boys because obviously they're growing. I mean, there's one under nines who's absolutely huge. Go and
yeah.
have a go. It's
Absolutely, yeah.
a good thing.
Yeah, great. Oh, great. Oh, Natalie, it's so nice to talk to you. It's just really lovely to hear your stories. Have you got anything else that that you'd remember or that you'd want to say or anything?
I've probably said too much myself.
Well, I'm loving that. I feel like that the best bit of all these interviews, the image of Sophie Lazenby, like that.
But that's the thing, isn't it? You work so hard that when you do just have that little bit of time to chill out. You do enjoy making people laugh. And Sophie was somebody who made everybody laugh in that squad. She was one of the jokers. She was
Yeah.
definitely fun over the squad.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Oh, thank you so much for your time. It's so lovely to hear.